How do subselects work? A subselect or subquery is a nested select inside of another select. Sometimes you can't answer one question until you answer another question. You might think, I need to get a description of a vehicle made by vendors from the state of New York, or NY. At first glance you think, I will first find all vendors from NY, and then I will use that information to get the vehicle description. This would be a two-step process. Your second thought might be to do an inner join between these two tables. This would be a simpler one-step process. So let us review the joining process. The first example is the join format, and the second example is the where format for a join. Both of these examples give the same results using a join. If we look through the vendor table for state equal NY, we see that only vendor ID V003 is from New York. Matching the vendor ID V003 to the inventory table, we find the description of small lunar lander, suborbit repair runabout, and planet landing skimmer. Now let us go on and see how a subselect accomplishes the same task. Here is an example similar to the previous presentation. We need to get descriptions of vehicles made by vendors from the state of California, or CA. We are looking through the vendor table for state equals CA, and we see that only vendor IDs V001, V007, and V008 are from California. Matching the vendor IDs, only two V001 entries are found in the inventory table, and they have descriptions of small luxury cruiser and personal luxury cruiser. While the first example shows an inner join using the where clause, the second example uses a subselect. The select is shown in yellow and is called the outer query. The subselect is shown in green and is called the inner query. All relational database systems process the inner query first. Then they use that data to run the outer query for the results. You can see in the subselect example, the inner subselect is selecting only vendor IDs where the state equals CA. The outer select is matching descriptions where the vendor ID in the inventory table matches the vendor IDs of the vendor table found by the subselect. Remember that subselects can be nested within other subselects, so a subselect or inner query can be an outer query for another nested subselect. Subselects are located within a where or having clause. The statement is called the outer query. The subselect, also known as a subquery, is enclosed in parentheses and is called the inner query. For simplicity, we will show it in the where clause in our examples. Remember, whatever we say about it, using it in the where clause also applies to the having clause. Some subqueries give a list of values that are used as input to the outer query. Some subqueries produce a value that the outer query uses with comparison operators. Some subqueries return a value of true or false. A subselect must be a single select statement, no joins or unions, but may contain another subselect. A subselect must start and end with left and right parentheses without a semicolon between the parentheses. The entire statement from select to subselect must be terminated with only one semicolon at the end. A subselect must reference only column names in the subselect from table or from table of outer selects. A subselect must have no order by in the subselect, since a subselect produces only intermediate results. If a table appears in an inner select but does not appear in the outer select, such as in the from clause, then this column from that table cannot be included in the final results. Sample where formats are where test variable comparison operator subquery, optionally not in subquery, comparison operator any subquery, comparison operator all subquery, or where optionally not exists subquery. When you are asking a two-part question, the first question to be answered is normally placed in the subselect. For sample statements, executable examples, and the results returned of the many different types of subselects, see our full SQL course from Computer-Based Training, Inc. Please pause this presentation to study the details. We hope you found this information useful. Please come visit us at computerbasedtraininginc.com for courses with more examples and labs where you create and execute complete commands.